if they go next generation, what more can you possibly do?
Out of a console?
Out of a console, what more can you possibly do?
I mean, PC's always had the edge on console.
100%.
Like,
But
constantly.
if you're trying to sell hardware, what can you promise us at this point past 4K 60? That
You gotta go over 60.
Yeah, you have
And
to go.
there have to
you
be-
have to go 120.
But the problem is the TVs have to catch up. The advantage Sony
yes.
has is that they're a manufacturer of both, so they can kind of align that from a product standpoint. But
Yeah.
the bigger thing that you need there is a product manager or somebody of that capacity in a role where they're overseeing both lines of business,
Yeah.
so they can perpetuate that to reality. I think the other thing you can do with console that clearly was not a fucking thought for PS5, but they did have the PS Portal. That is cool, but I don't like its implementation. I think you find a way
If you hear a bunch of banging, that's Alicia vacuuming.
to throw the Dyson in the trash. You have to, so that's where Nintendo comes into the game with the Switch and what they're going to do with the Switch. If you were to take a Nintendo Switch and cross it with a PS5, I think at that point you find yourself in a very, very lucrative position where, especially in context with the TVs, if you have a TV that supports it, where you have a console that you can dock into a TV that supports 120 or 150 at 4K resolution, or I'm telling you now, 4K isn't the limit.
No, it's definitely not. They have 8K TVs, but
Right.
if you want an 8K TV, then have fun.
Right.
Yeah, babies do literally. It's supposed to be end of the month, but she ain't making it till then.
But if you get all of that in alignment where you have a dockable console that you can run on a 4K TV that supports 120, and then you have also a handheld that doesn't necessarily support 4K resolution on that OLED, but it's a decent size to where it's iPad sized instead of being Switch sized, and you have 120 frames per second on that, maybe chime in with Apple, get the Retina display for it or something, throw that on there, detachable controllers, so that way you can just pop them off and then build a cradle similar to the PS5 controller where those just kind of click in instead of the slot in, the little jaunt shit that I hate. But they click in, it's almost like it's got two wings on it. Two sides of the PS5 controller, and it's got the joystick on the controller.
Yeah.
And then you can pop those off and then click them into a little cradle. Maybe the cradle has the touchpad that you get from the PlayStation line of products. I think that if you take that and make that your next console, that would sell insanely well.
So I think you're definitely on to something here. In my opinion, I think this is the way that they should go forward, is the way that they have the PS5 and they had the Portal as the companion. I think that's genius.
You can't have the portable aspect of it be strictly dependent on the console.
So I think what they should have done with the Portal is given you just enough space as storage on it to store 4 games. Give you enough space to store 4 games. Make it 256 gigabytes.
That's not big enough.
Well, that's what I think. Well, no, that's 64. But
one game is 80.
Allow you to put an extra. How hard is it to allow you to put a SD card in there or something? How difficult is
it's
that? It's
not hard at all.
So it give you 256 gigs to internally to store stuff on, but give you the option to get an SD card if you would like to slap in there for additional storage.
Well, you could do that.
Basically, what the Steam Deck did.
Right, or if you didn't just abandon physical media, you could even go as far as to put a damn disk drive in it. That's not huge.
I don't think you put a disk drive in it.
On the back, like if we're talking iPad size, that's not big at all.
See, I think that what they do is keep doing keep doing things like you're doing with the consoles, but have a companion handheld that has onboard storage so that you can actually play the games from the storage. You don't have to rely on streaming. And have a screen like you would have on like an iPhone or an iPad, like the updated like Retina display, stuff like that, like stuff that looks crisp and nice but doesn't eat your battery. Do something like that and have it to where like you can conveniently transfer your saves between the two. Like if I'm up in my living room and I want to play on the handheld, I can play, say I'm playing Metal Gear. I can play Metal Gear on the handheld while I'm, just up. The wife's watching TV, the kid's playing with toys, doing whatever. I'm just sitting in the chair and I can sit down and play a game, and I can just pause it if I want to and set it down, go cook dinner, come back, pick it up, play it. Everybody goes to bed. I can put it in sleep mode, come down to my game room, hop on the PlayStation 5, and immediately play from where I left off up there.
So that's the problem. In order to do that with a portal device and have a separate console, you have to be running from the console the whole time.
Or just have a dock that plugs into the PS5 that is able to transfer the data inward. Basically, like what the Switch does. When you dock the Switch, you can remove the controller. It's like, as the Switch is the console. Yes.
Well, that's because the processing.
You should be able to come up with some kind of way to dock the handheld to that way it can transfer the data to.
What I'm saying is that
the console where you can pick up.
It doesn't make sense to build two separate processing units at that point. Like why? If you just want to be able to transfer it from one to the other, it should lean on one processing unit.
Yeah.
And then
I'm not saying it should transfer like the whole thing. It should just transfer the data from the game to the console.
And if you have one processing unit, you don't really have to transfer the data. You just have to decide which one is doing the work and which one is surfacing the work.
Yeah. Well, then you have to have it as a streaming product then.
Right.
Which is what the Portal is, and apparently the Portal like they've been like really keeping up with like the Portal, and they've made it basically like where it actually makes a lot of sense for somebody to get it at this point.
I'm sure. I'm just saying like Switch does
Which
it one
is
way.
Smart, yeah.
Switch does it the way where you have the processor on you all the time, and like when you dock it, it's there with the TV.
Yeah.
You detach the controls.
But the Switch, like with Nintendo, their main thing isn't pushing graphical fidelity. They're not pushing 4K 60. They're not trying to push all that. They're just like, we'll do what we want to do, and you're gonna buy it anyway. And we're just like, you know what, Nintendo? You're right.
It's also yeah, but it's terribly hard to fit that in something that small.
Exactly, that's the point. So like, if you're doing that, then you have to sacrifice the other.
Right.
So
now, when quantum computing finally becomes mainstream and they figure it out for good, then consoles are completely redefined.
Yeah.
Quantum computing isn't really like a candidate for that kind of use case just yet, but it very easily could be.
Yeah.
Simply because then you have the ability to kind of just morph things in the processor, and that's maybe we'll get there, maybe it will never happen, but
yeah, I mean I think because I'm one that likes convenience. I like to
we know
sit down, play my PlayStation, and then if I'm upstairs, like I would love to be able to play something up there where I can actually continue playing and chew at my backlog down here. But
backlog.
Yeah, backlog.
Did you really just use
my backlog of games? That's
not a backlog.
That's a backlog.
A backlog is something that you line up for work. You have a
It's-
collection.
I have a collection, and it's lined up for me to play. I just don't have enough time in the day.
It's not a backlog.
It's a backlog.
You don't have to do it.
I would like to do it. You don't have to do the work either.
If I want to get paid, I do.
Exactly. So like having that convenience factor would be nice because like I like playing things on my PlayStation because I like getting the trophies. I like having all of my like achievement based stuff in one spot. I don't like to space it out like between PC and between different things.
Are
so
you cheating on OBS?
what do you mean?
You have Streamlabs downloaded.
I had Streamlabs for when I was going to stream, but then I never did. But Streamlabs has plugins for OBS, so they kind of go hand in hand at this point. They're basically the same thing.
Yes.
So yeah, like I would like to like I would love to have a Portal, but you know, I just haven't gotten one yet because I have to be a responsible adult.
I think we should just build our own console.
Yeah, we have. Well, you probably have the know-how to do that. I don't.
I don't know. Maybe.